in my study. I thought I'd change up the scenery a little bit. And so now you just see a succulent wall behind me. But hello and welcome to my 17th chat session of Tea with Karen. I can't believe it's already 17. We started this at the beginning of quarantining. When was that? Mid-March. And here we are. Here we are. Our sanity still intact. Yeah, just. And I've got my cup of tea. Have you guys got your cup of tea? Hi, guys. Let's do some early shout-outs. Carolyn Stats, I see. Jordan Stewart, 9117. Davina. Karen David fan page. Oh, hello. OUAT_18XO. Alison.cam. Once upon a time FP. Hayden, hello. Jordan Stewart. Yes. And Charlotte under the feather. And Alison's here. Oh, it's so good to see you, and Erica. Hi. So today is the first day of Comic-Con, and it's such a surreal feeling because Comic-Con, as many of you know, this year is Comic-Con at home. So I hope that you guys will log into the Comic-Con YouTube channel. I believe it's Comic-Con International. Get your pens and your notebooks out and save the date, because our Fear the Walking Dead panel is tomorrow at 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time. I had to think about that for a second. And 2 p.m. Central and 8 p.m. UK. So we're doing our panel tomorrow. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to be reminiscing, telling each other over and over how much we miss being on set together, and reliving some fun stories. So I hope you lovelies will tune in. So that's tomorrow. On Saturday evening, if you fancy it, our whole TWD family are coming together. So The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead World Beyond. We are all going to be hanging out with the enigmatic and wonderful Yvette Nicole Brown. Gosh, I love her heart so much. She's going to be hosting, and we're going to be hanging out and having a chat and a laugh and answering tons of your questions that you've sent in on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So that's on Saturday evening on the Comic-Con channel, I believe. And I'm pretty sure that Fear the Walking Dead, our Instagram page, will be posting more details on that. If not, I will too. So you've got 2 dates to save. That's tomorrow and Saturday. Tea with Karen challenge. I love your vision boards. I've thoroughly enjoyed looking at them and seeing all the detail and all the TLC that you've put into your vision boards. I'm so excited to draw out a name, and I will be giving away a Super Squad, a Legacy's Super Squad woolly hat. Originally, I thought I'd get a t-shirt, but it seems easier to get a woolly hat because that fits everyone. So I'm going to be giving out a woolly hat in support of some very talented and hardworking crew members on Legacies. As you know, many of my colleagues and actor friends, all of us, we're all out of work now during this pandemic, and I know for a lot of them it's been really tough as well, having mouths to feed, bills to pay, and all that. So for those of you who did place an order for Super Squad memorabilia and swag, thank you so much, because you are making a huge difference in helping those in need. So thank you. And I know a lot of you have asked, where can we catch up with Tea with Karen sessions? Have no fear, www.teawithkaren.com. I'm so distracted right now because my fountain in front of my office is having a pool party with a bunch of birds. I wish I could turn the camera around and you could see there's like 4 or 5 of them, the cute little ones, and they're flying all over, and I just love it. I love it so much. I hope they're having a nice pool party for a Thursday afternoon. Yesterday, we were so excited. Did I just completely randomly change subject from the Tea with Karen sessions? I did. That's my brain, guys, right now. That's my quarantine brain, as I forgot, obviously, about Monday being the original Tea with Karen date with Eleanor. Oh, she's so amazing. She was able to reschedule for today. Thank you, love. Yes, random mind traveling all over the place. Let me bring it back. You can catch up on all the Tea with Karen sessions on Tea with Karen. All of them are posted there. So whenever you have some free time, you have a quiet moment to yourselves, and you just want a cup of tea and relax, that's where you can go. Yes, now, next point. Yesterday, so much going on, which is so wonderful. Yesterday, we were so excited to announce that our beloved short film, which we raised funding for on Indiegogo 2 years ago, guys, in Hollywoodland. We started the festival circuit, and we were so excited to be able to announce yesterday on deadline that our short film was selected by the Bentonville Film Festival, which is co-founded and chaired by the amazing Gina Davis. I love her in Thelma and Louise. If you haven't seen Thelma and Louise, you have to watch it, amongst a plethora of other films that she's done. But we're so excited in particular to be premiering our short film at Bentonville. Bentonville Film Festival is all about inclusivity and diversity and female filmmakers, BIPOC and LGBTQ platform to debut in Hollywoodland. And thank you so much to each and every one of you who contributed to our Indiegogo fund, because you guys made this possible. So really, congratulations to you guys, because your short film got into the Bentonville Film Festival. We have a few more announcements coming up. I'm not allowed to say at the moment, but we will update you soon. I'm so excited. I definitely have an extra spring to my step today, which is so wonderful to have that feeling and embrace during quarantining, because I think we've been quarantining now for 17, 18 weeks. For those of you who have gone back to work in Europe, outside the States, I am sending you so much love and cheering you on. Please be safe. I hope all of you and your family and friends are all well and safe too. So now, moving right along, every Tea with Karen session, I try to find some really wonderful profiles on Instagram for you guys to follow, because it's all about amplifying melanated voices. So I want to give a huge shout out to at Volted Voices, VOLTED VOICES. I came across them, friends, and they really are. If you go to their posts on their page, it's immediate, it's concise, and it's just a wealth of information and resources, and also having these uncomfortable conversations in a safe community. So please give them a follow. I just love what they're all about, and I'm learning so much every day as we all continue the work to educate ourselves, to learn and unlearn about racism, implicit bias, and what we can do with allyship. So that is one. And the other one about allyship as well is at ally2, the number 2, action. Ally2 action. My PR rep, Nikki, is on the committee, and she told me all about this new community that she's helped establish. And the profile, it's a community of allies. And I signed up for their 21-day habit-forming group, their journey that they send you emails daily, and they tell you exactly in each email how many minutes that you'll need. So some are 10 minutes, some are 15 minutes. It's trying to give you as much information to have those conversations with your friends and family to create awareness and understanding. And it's so good. You can sign up on there at Ali to Action. I love them. Okay, my favorite part now. Now that all the babbing's done today with such a wonderful human being, beauty, brains, talent, the kindest heart, and she's also a fellow Brit. So what's not to love about Eleanor Matsuura from The Walking Dead? Her extensive and admirable list of acting credentials range from Wonder Woman, Da Vinci's Demons, Into the Badlands, and of course as Yumiko in The Walking Dead. So I'm going to bring her on, and you can follow Eleanor at Eleanor, Eleanor Matsuura, Matsuura. So I'm going to. I'm so excited.
Hi, Karen!
You look so stunning. Damn, girl. I mean, quarantine.
What? Me? Please. This is just lockdown. This is the lockdown main getting out of control. But, you know, we do what we can.
I am totally feeling that lockdown look. You beauty.
It's getting a little crazy now. I mean, I don't know if you're back on like the regime now that sort of the world is reopening again, but I just decided to lean into it. I'm not going to get my hair cut until we go back to work, whenever that may be. And I just want everybody on the hair and makeup truck to be like, where's Ellen? And like just finding me through my hair, you know?
The glorious hair. I love it. I haven't been, my hair's been growing because I chopped it. I used to have it quite long, but now it's growing too. And I haven't been to the hairdresser since March. So it's slowly, my layers are all growing out and it's like becoming a triangular shape. So I'm like trying to like.
Hey, I won't hear of this. It looks beautiful. I was literally watching you there, like waiting to come and going like, she is so beautiful. Like, what? Like you're just like your hair, your face, your voice. I miss you. How have you been?
I miss you so much. It feels. I was thinking about the last time we hung out, which was in Atlanta, and we were having brunch. And we were there for hours on end. It was such a cold day.
We were.
But we were inside having such a lovely chat and catch up and brunch. And I miss it. I miss it so much.
I know, me too. I was thinking that was so funny, wasn't it? Because Atlanta is, you know, one of, like, that's the only place I associate with work. You know, that's what Atlanta means for me. So it feels so far away right now, because, you know, I thought I should be there right now, but I'm not. And that day, I remember what was also unusual about that day was that it was a cold day in Atlanta, which is what's so memorable about it, because that cafe for hours, didn't we? We had so much to talk about. Two Brits abroad.
I
know. In the back.
Yes, it was so wonderful. And I remember obsessing about your jacket, that coat you were wearing, that blue faux
fluffy jacket.
Oh
yeah, definitely faux fur. I know, you know what, I left a lot of stuff in storage in Atlanta, so there's a lot of stuff that I'm missing now, including a lot of my summer stuff, like, so because it's so hot there, I left all my, like, you know, the dresses and things, you know. I was like, I won't need that in London. It's always raining in London, it's cold. And then of course here we are, COVID's happened. And now all my summer stuff is over there, and all I've got here is coats. Apart from that coat is in Atlanta. But
so this
it's a bit of
an excuse to go shopping, online shopping.
I mean, I need zero excuse to online shop. I am a consumer. It's disgusting. It's terrible. I've been what else is there to do but shop? Like, what else is there to do? But I mean, I've curbed it a little bit now, but I thought at the beginning of lockdown, it was definitely slightly out of control. Did you have anything that made you sort of a little bit like, oh, I've got to curb this a bit?
Oh, absolutely. Well, because now we're not working. And you know, our whole industry has been brought to its knees.
I know.
It's been, I mean, look, as actors, we're used to being on that journey of being in and out of work,
Mm-hmm.
being self-employed, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
making ends meet, especially at the beginning of our journeys. And for those who have it in them to keep fighting the good fight
Yeah.
and persevering, um, you know, you eventually do make it to a, there is that
Yeah.
moment, I think, especially in the beginning when we were trying to process and trying to understand what was happening. Because I keep saying that I still feel like my brain is back in March, and here we are in mid-July. But I needed something like instant gratification from something. So, of course, there is that temptation when you go online and you're like, oh, that outfit's really nice. But then I'm starting to think, well, when am I ever going to wear it?
I know.
Because
I know.
we can't. Now, my whole challenge is about finding really nice tops, because when we
Yes.
do you know, interviews, or if we're on Zoom or whatever, we're all having it's from the waist up. So I was
Waist
trying to
up.
find something that's, you know, I feel like my top game has changed, which is good.
Your top game is really strong. It's not only changed, it's very admirable. I salute your top game. It's really, really, really good. No, I totally agree with you. It's really, it's sort of things that once were really important. Not that, you know, clothes are not that important. We know that, but like, you just kind of go, well, what's the point? I'm not going to be able to wear them many places. Certainly not for the foreseeable. So everything's become a lot simpler. You know, we've simplified everything in my life. The one thing that I do always, a more creative and sort of unpredictable life that we're used to as creatives. I do say that routine is really important though. Like all the way through lockdown, I was like, do you know what? Whatever you do, just get up and have a shower. Like, get dressed, don't stay in your pajamas, have a shower, put on some clothes. That will set you up for the day. Yeah. And that's something I learned from just being an actor. Like, not, you know, sometimes when you're in between jobs and you don't have anything to do, like, go and have a shower. It's going to make you feel better. Get out of your pajamas. Like, that's just like basic rule one for me. You've got to do that. Otherwise, it's just game over. You know, and a little bit of structure.
Yeah, especially for self-employed people like us too, where we, to establish a routine is challenging. What might seem simple for some people is very, very difficult for the livelihoods that you and I have, or people like us have, because there's never a set fixed time. It's constantly changing. So I remember even my in yoga class, or my teachers, my mentors were always saying, even if you can find the cups of coffee moments, you know, 10 minutes that you can commit to, even you start at 10 minutes and then grow to 15 and 20 minutes where you can give that time to yourself, be it meditating, doing yoga, or going for a walk, or doing some sort of kind of exercise to get those happy endorphins going, just to establish some sort of routine in this new norm is so important. Otherwise, it's just chaos, you know.
I know, and it's weird how quickly, like, our routines can slip, and we adapt as well to like these new ways of life. I mean, as actors, I think we're probably used to adapting to different ways of life and things that aren't always comfortable. But I don't know about you, but now I'm kind of getting scared of re-entering the world again. You know, I'm getting the fear back now of back to work, and that thing that I once feared so much. Now I'm like, oh, maybe I don't want to leave the house. Oh, that's crazy, right? Like, it's so weird how we adjust.
And that's a mindset that we're having to now navigate through. I mean, back home in England, you guys are now opening up. But have the numbers gone down?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think they've spiked yet. Like, I don't think we've had like a second spike as yet, but I don't think, you know, I haven't checked the numbers in a few days. I kind of had to step away from obsessively checking the numbers, but I think it's sort of plateaued. I might be wrong, but I think it's sort of plateaued, because I feel like I would have heard if there had been a spike. But we are starting to open up, and it's becoming very, like I felt it today. I it was the first time I cycled to the park, to the Heath in Hampstead in London to meet my friend, and I was like, oh, there's traffic around. It's busy. Like people are clearly going from A to B, maybe going to work, maybe coming from work. You know, not everyone is wearing masks when they're out. I guess, you know, when you're outside, there's different, but certainly not everybody in the shops. And I was thinking, this is where the turning point's going to be. This is where it's like people are now starting to relax a little bit more, and it's becoming the new normal, right? We're definitely in a new phase, but we need people to be, I think, be still vigilant to what's happening. And I don't know. I understand why people are confused, because it's confusing. Like everybody, there's mixed messages going around. Certainly in the UK. I mean, I think it's similar in the States as well. But like,
orders in California, but everything has been shut down. So again, a lot of people are not wearing masks. Some are, depends where you go. I know in some boroughs, they have made mask wearing mandatory, and they should do that. They absolutely should do that. I know my family, and my family in Canada. Now, Canada has been able to curtail COVID cases, and it's because everyone has accepted, yes, we'll wear a mask. Also, they impose these heavy fines if you don't. End of story.
Right.
So, but everyone is wearing a mask because it's out of respect for each other, and also for their own protection too. So, it just saddens me that it's become very political. But you know, we just I try. The only thing I can do is just hold on to hope. Hope, which is something which is a universal theme in both our shows.
Yes, it is. It is.
And to hold on to hope and have faith in humanity, because saying that, I have seen so many acts of kindness amongst neighbors and friends and strangers too, that I feel like there is a huge shift in the energy, even on social media platforms too. I feel like we're having more engaging and purposeful conversations without people being attacked. So people are having more of those uncomfortable conversations, but at the same time, we're allowing ourselves to be very open and honest with each other. That's a huge change that I'm seeing now, which is so wonderful.
Seeing that, it really fills me with positivity. It does, because, you know, I'm not on Twitter anymore. I don't know if you're on Twitter as well, but like I had to leave that because I was just like, oh, it doesn't suit my I mean, I haven't been on it for a few years now, and I didn't miss it. I was just like, oh, that all of that noise and that kind of combative aggression, I was like, you know what, it's not serving me well. So I find Instagram a much more somehow a much more sort of palatable space for conversation and nuance. Somehow I find it sort of easier to negotiate, but I'm so warmed by hearing you say that, because sometimes I do wonder, you know, like if maybe not participating in sort of the Twitter conversations is just kind of like tapping out. And I'm not interested in tapping out anymore. You know, I want to have those conversations, and I think they're important conversations to have. And I think I love the idea that social media can be more than just sharing photos, which, you know, is fine too. There's so much space for that. But I love the idea that it can be somewhere where we can connect and we can learn and we can grow, and also a place where we might make mistakes and fail and say, oh, I'm sorry, I messed up, and I relearned that, and now thank you for educating me. Like, that's kind of awesome if we can take this space and take this connection into that area, because of everything that's been happening right now. Why not make it a tool for good? But I do often wonder, because I think I'm quite lucky with most of my the people that I connect with on Instagram are really lovely and you know, supportive. So I haven't come up against that much adversity on here. I've come up with a bit, but not lots. I feel like that maybe I'd come up against it more on Twitter, and I just, so it warms me to hear that you have that you're having a different experience. Yeah, I'm like,
no,
oh,
well, at first, there comes a few times, I'm the same as you, a few times, especially on my Twitter too, where there's been trolls and there's been misunderstanding. I also, whenever that happens, I don't go into panic mode. I try to take 2 steps back and say, okay, where is the root of this coming from? And I know that in the beginning, when this was all boiling and coming to the surface, and understandably so, everyone was angry. And on top of that, we're in a pandemic which we've never experienced before. We're quarantining at home. We're anxious because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or the month after. And a lot of families are having financial pressure too, and especially for kids and teenagers too. It's all about socializing and being with friends, and not being able to have that social interaction or even a hug. I mean, all of that just keeps adding to, what starts off as a drop becomes a puddle, becomes, a river, a lake, an ocean, it's going to boil over. So I said, okay, I get it. I know where it's coming from. And it comes from a place of hurt. And in the beginning, when it was all happening, all encompassing at once, you don't know how to process that, to digest that, and so sometimes I feel like the frustrations were being misguided and misaimed at anyone who they could just, sometimes you need a reaction or something to bounce off of, I understand that. And even though you do have some of those trolls who find such comfort behind a screen or, their phones, I think what makes me so concerned is that what is happening in their lives on top of all this that's happening. You there?
Karen, my connection's a little bad. I'm gonna let me just wait for it to zoom up again, because you're saying very interesting things and I don't want to lose you.
No, that's okay, love. You know what I do? I put it on my phone provider. I don't connect to the home Wi-Fi because I find that.
Yeah, you know what, I might.
We'll let Eleanor do that. Everyone's at home quarantining too, or staying at home, so a lot more people are on the internet. So you guys gave me that tip actually, so thank you for that. And we'll bring her on.
Sorry.
No, it's good.
Sorry.
It's good. I had the same
so
thing.
into what you were saying, and then I was like, no.
I'm like, what was I saying again? You have to think about what concerns me so much is wondering what is going on in their lives on top of everything that's happening. And that makes me feel so empathetic and compassionate, because I just want to hug them, if anything. I just wish I could send them a virtual hug and say, hey, I don't take this personally. I don't know what's going on. If there's anything I can do to help, I mean, look, none of us, and that's one thing. I know there's been some of those people that say, look, you're an actor, you're not an expert. No, we're not experts, but we are human beings, and we care. And as my mom says, we eat, sleep, and poop the same.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So if there is a cause that we're very passionate about, and certainly through my tea with Karen's, it's all been about mental well-being and emotional stamina and emotional intelligence, which I feel is us to check in with ourselves every day. And we often tend to forget that. We put ourselves last and everything else first.
Yes, definitely.
But you've got to start at the nucleus, which is within us, each and every one of us. And and my dad always said this growing up, when your parents tell you things which you find so annoying and you're like, oh, I don't understand this or whatever. But then as we get older, we're like, okay. They were right.
and it's more annoying actually, isn't it? Because you're like, "Shit, you are right. Ah, that's so annoying."
You're a superhero mama.
Ah, yes. Thank you so much. Actually, I was almost not a superhero mama tonight. She usually goes to bed around 8 o'clock. Not to bore you all with like, you know, my child's bedtime routine, but I was like, oh, I'll put her down to bed, and then I'll come and sit in my little shared office place that I've made, and I'm gonna have tea with Karen. And I mean, she literally went to bed about 2 minutes before I got on this call. She was like, "Not tonight, Mama. Tonight I'm gonna party." So I was like, "Okay, cool. That's great." Of course, it's on the night when I have something scheduled in, but that's parenting. You know, you've got to roll with it. It's just it's always on the night when you want to do something else. And she's only 2.5, so she's her own little world of madness and love.
But isn't that wonderful? You almost think, what a blessing in disguise that she's at that age where she can be in her own world.
Yes,
you know?
we have been incredibly lucky, and I keep saying that to my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, we are so lucky. Like, even when it's been really hard, and there are always times when it's really hard, you know, because it just is a hard time right now. I do try, without meaning to be like, I'm so grateful. I mean, like, I do genuinely try and practice gratitude all the time, because, you know, there are certain things, like we have a garden, you know, in London, as you know, that's like, you know, having a garden is like gold dust. And
yes,
in lockdown with a toddler, we have a garden which you can run around, and the weather's been amazing. We were like, wow, we are so lucky. And, you know, there's lots of green space around us. Like, we've never felt completely hemmed in and locked down. And she's also at that age where she kind of wants to just be around me all the time anyway. She doesn't, you know, she's not at school yet. She doesn't miss that kind of routine. She's just delighted that she's got her parents home all the time, and that we get to spend lots of time with her. So she has no idea. She just thinks it's great. You know, she just thinks that we're all just having a lovely time at home. And sometimes mummy and daddy wear the funny mask things, and, you know, that's fine. Like, she doesn't get scared by it. She's, you know, it's all been really, thankfully, very, very easy for us with her. I mean, that's a lie, not very easy. It's been, you know, she's 2.5, so it's been a bit mad, but it's also been I do feel very lucky. I feel very lucky.
I saw a quote on Facebook that I thought I would get everything that I wanted, but instead 2020 ends up being the year that I realize all the things that I am grateful for. And that really, when I read that, I was like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because what's happened is that everything that we took for granted, kind of including gratitude, you know, like everything has just sort of been tipped upside down. And I don't know about you, but I've really started to notice, like, how much simpler my life can be, like how much I don't need certain stuff or certain things. What's important, I guess, which is probably at the root of gratitude, like what's actually really important to me, and what I need and what I don't need. I don't think I've ever had to sit with that and tune in with that for my whole life. You know, it's been really, really extraordinary. Like, when you realize, oh, none of that stuff that I was worrying about matters. There's plenty of other stuff to worry about, but it's really shuffled everything around and changed my perspective on a lot of stuff. And one of the things for me that has been really amazing, and yes, challenging, is having my daughter around, because whilst it is so challenging, like you said, she's also 2.5. She has no idea, so it constantly keeps me in the moment, I suppose, and I can't get too caught up in my own head or too anxious about certain things, because, you know, she needs my attention and my love, and so I have to pull myself up for her. And that's been really extraordinary, actually, like that I've had no other distraction apart from her, which has been quite special. Speaking of special, you've created your sanctuary in your Yes.
You have to tell us about, so is this something that you did when we had the quarantine, or was this something that you know, because I've always been talking to everyone that, you know, figure out what you can do within your means, within
Yes.
good about yourself where you can relax, you know? So I'm looking at
Yes.
yours and it looks wonderful. So did you create
Okay.
this now, or?
So yeah, so this is our garden shed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, when we moved in, it was always like a really cute little space, but we were like, okay, one day, because you know, I'm here half the time in London and half the time I'm in the States. So
Yeah.
I was like, this will be a project for further down the road. And then of course everything happened, 2020 happened, and we were like, you know what, now's the time. So I like lived my best sort of, like, you know, in those movies when people do like a montage and they like a makeover montage, and I had like the dungarees on and like my hair up, and I like painted the whole shed and like pulled everything out, and like, so the whole thing is painted. We hung up the lights, so you've got some neon. I'm going to show you here. Like, so this is,
That's
now you're going to see all the
nice
mess.
shed.
That's a lawnmower and all the crap that's
Yeah.
in here that we need to move out. But basically, we put up all these bookshelves, so there's all these books everywhere, and all these books that obviously I have read.
Obviously,
and
yes.
yeah, and we've made this little space, which actually was the most brilliant thing that we could have done, because we need a little corner of self-care, like a physical corner for the self-care. Like, having a kid, and like we live in, you know, we're very lucky to have a house, but like the walls are quite thin because it's London. So
Yeah.
I can come in here and I can talk to you and we can make noise, and we've used it for a little voice studio. Like we've done like voiceovers in here, and I want to put a little chair in the corner so I can just come in here and read the stack of books that I'm so enjoying reading. That's the one lovely thing about lockdown that has come up for me, which is like, I'm actually reading books for fun, not just for work, not a script.
What a huge difference that is too.
What's that, sorry?
It's such a huge difference to be reading for pleasure as opposed to work.
Massive. I mean, like honestly, I swear to God, like, the last year, I remember on New Year's Day, so it would have been New Year's Day 2019, I walked into a bookshop in London and I bought one book, and I said to myself, my only job this year is to read this one. I even brought it with me to Atlanta when I was filming and everything. I found it at the end of the year, and I think I was like 5 pages into it or something, with like a really sad little bookmark like left, and I was like, oh wow, that's pathetic. Like, that's and then this year happened, and for the first time ever, I've been sitting and reading books. And it's just been amazing. Like, it's been just for me, just for pleasure, nothing to do with work, nothing to do with, you know, scripts or anything. Just I'm a bit obsessed now. I've been ordering. That's one of the things that I can't stop ordering online is books. Yeah. Like, I have, look at this little stash. Look at this stash I have.
Oh my God. See, that just makes me so excited. Okay, you guys, right? Which ones do you recommend? Because I know, oh my gosh, a lot of the gang have been asking what books or what films or TV shows you've been binge watching.
Oh yeah, okay, well, let's definitely get into that. Like, okay, well, this is interesting. So a lot of these, like, spoiler, a lot of these I haven't read yet, because I'm buying them and I'm literally like starting them. So I can only say that I want to read them. I can't report back of, like, I can't give you my critique just yet. But like, here we go. This is a little bit of Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own. Oh, old school. Yeah. Because of this is literally a room of one's own. So it's like, it's the importance, I've heard, it's about, even though, you know, it's written so long ago, it's actually this kind of really modern space of their own for self-care, and how important that is for your creativity and your mind. That's a good one. That's going on my list. Yeah. So I'm writing it down. Great. Virginia Woolf, baby. This is amazing. This woman, Glennon Doyle, wrote this book called Untamed, which I tell you why, the reason I bought this book and started reading it and sort of halfway through is that she did a podcast. She actually did a podcast with someone called she's like someone called Fern Cotton, who's like a broadcaster and writer here. I think she's more popular here than in the States, but she's really great. And she has a podcast called Happy Place, which, you know, quite similar to what you're doing, Karen, which is like talking about mental health and sort of self-care and in this world. And she interviewed Glennon Doyle, and if you haven't read it, I really listen to the podcast, I really recommend it, because as soon as I listened to it and I heard what she said and spoke about, I was like, I'm getting her book immediately, because she's clearly amazing. So yeah, so there's a lot of things here. I mean, there's definitely a theme. I've got Me and White Supremacy, this book. Have you guys heard about this book? Amazing book. Oh, sorry, that's my toddler who drew over supremacy, because I'm teaching her well. She was like, yeah, white supremacy.
Good girl.
That's right. She's learning. This is an amazing book. This amazing author, Layla F. Sard, she's also got an incredible website, which I'd encourage you all to check out. It's definitely one of the ones that if you're looking to further yourself and further your education for yourself and around the Black Lives Matter movement and topic and everything that's been sort of very much in the consciousness right now, this is a book that you'll see coming up a lot and being repeated. Like her Layla's book and Layla's website gets sort of touted around a lot, and for good reason, because it's really insightful and clear and straightforward and accessible. So I've got a few of those. I've got like How to Be Anti-Racist, I Am Not Your Baby Mother. You know, guys, let's start a book club. Let's start a book club. You are doing so well. Like, meanwhile, like, I've got what have you got there?
Well, see, these are mine.
Oh yeah, what you got, baby? What you got? Okay,
so I ordered this book when I haven't read any of these guys yet. So
they're all there to be, broken into.
Just before, one thing that I love doing is when I'm back home in London, I'll go to the V&A or the Tate, and I just want to spend the day there and just like be, right?
Yeah.
But one thing I do love is going into the bookshop and the gift shop at the end, because they always have such a curated collection of really good books and all that. So when I was at the Getty,
I totally agree. Why are arts galleries? Why they always have the best bookshops and the best gift shops? Always.
Absolutely. I just feel like it's so thoughtful, even with their gifts, and it's just so well thought out. And even like for artwork, when we were decorating our dining room, and I know, you know, a lot of the gang on here are asking, where do you get your artwork from? I always go to your tried, tested, and true local museum or whatever.
Definitely.
You know, and because I find that their shops over there, they have such a wonderful collection, even online. Because I'm so homesick too, so I always order art from Tate Modern, V&A. So I'm so when I was at the Getty, I found this book because I'm missing Europe so much. Montmartre, I hope I said that right. Picasso, Matisse, and the Birth of Modernist Art. And I don't know, it felt very cultural. But what I do when I read a book, I always read the first few pages. Yeah, and if I'm locked in within the first few pages, which I was just transported to France, which I missed so much. I was just like, okay, so I was like, okay, so I'm very excited. And I just told you, right? I bought this before the pandemic started. Have I read it? No, not yet. But this is on my...
No. But it's on the list, darling. It's on the list.
So I've gone from there, and then sleep. I don't know about your sleep, but especially with our filming schedules, tomato, they keep changing all the time. So I find that to lock into a routine of going to bed at a certain time is really challenging. And you know, it's something that my husband always says, well, now that you're not working, why can't you do that? And I'm like, after years and years of programming your body to just, for me, it's about telling my body to sleep whenever you can, because sometimes we'll film until 6 in the morning and then we have to go to sleep and wake up at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something. So
Yeah.
it's trying to not get into my head too much and to say, just sleep. It's time to sleep. So I got this book I saw when I was traveling from Austin back home, again in March. And I read it. I read the first chapter. It's so good. Why We Sleep. Unlocking the power of sleep and dreams. And just it's a bit more you know, it's not as that kind of documentary type of book, but I think
I'm really sort of hoping that like it's so good, but it's just stayed by your bedside table kind of untouched. And every day you just look at it, every night you just look at it as you fall asleep, just like, good night book, and just fall asleep, and it works.
But I just love, like, even the chapters at chapter 6, your mother and Shakespeare knew the benefits of sleep for the brain. You know, and of course sleep plays a huge effect on our mental well-being and health too. So guys, I'm in the first chapter, and it is truly wonderful. So we'll both post about these books.
Yeah, we definitely let's do that, because that would be really cool if anyone has also some suggestions and feedback if they've read the books, because I love talking about it's my guys, I don't know if you know, but books are really great. I feel like I've just discovered them. I know it is. It's like a newfound joyful thing. I just absolutely love it. I really do.
You might be onto something, love, where you can start Eleanor's virtual book club.
Why not?
I'd sign up for that, because then we hold each other accountable. Then we hold each other accountable for reading a book and actually getting, you know, I feel like when you're in it together and you've got a deadline, then you're like, okay, I've got to read that, you know, this book by then, and having a discussion about it. Then I feel like you're really enjoying and digesting the book. So you're onto something. Let me know.
Right, I'm doing it. I'll do it.
That could be fun, and we can get together.
Be part of my book club.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this first. Virginia Woolf, A Room of Their Own. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, I'm absolutely loving the books right now. Yeah. What are you watching right now?
So, I just finished watching Normal People. I've been watched through it, and so isn't it just, guys? If you haven't watched it, it's on the BBC back home, right? BBC.
Yeah.
In America, it's on Hulu. So Daisy, who plays Marianne, I acted with Daisy in Cold Feet, and she played Karen and David's daughter. In that. So, and it was so funny, because one thing I will say, Daisy is just so magical and such a lovely, lovely, wonderful, kind girl. And to see her just blossom. I don't want to give away too much, but
no.
What can we tell the gang here, for those of you who haven't watched Normal People?
I think if you didn't know anything about it, what you would get from watching Normal People is a real character study about a close, intimate friendship between two people set in a beautiful backdrop of Ireland. Which the island itself kind of becomes a whole character in the show. And because I was watching it right at the height of lockdown, I don't think I've ever sort of craved a pub, a little Irish pub with pints and music and like walks on the beach. I mean, it did something to me, that show. I thought it was incredible. I really did. I thought the two actors were just astonishing. Such breathtaking performances, because it was so real and so authentic. It's the trials and tribulations of young love, and how a coming of age story, how you navigate through adulthood and finding oneself, and your purpose and your identity. What else I absolutely loved about the making of it, like, it was such a slow, patient show. I thought I really loved how they never like patronized us as an audience. They really just took their time and let every little moment land, and the story just unfold itself, which again, haven't finished the book because I watched the show. But apparently it's very, very true to the book. You know, each moment is honored and respected and played out so beautifully, and I just love that. I don't think I've seen TV like that in a really long time, where they've just had patience and trusted us as the audience that we're going to go with you, we're going to go with you, we're going to invest in these characters and come on the journey with you. And I just loved that so much. I think it was amazing.
Because they say the film, but in this case they said, you know, dare they say that the TV
show's better,
just elevated it even more. But I find that stories that are so simple at heart are the ones that are the most powerful and the most universal, and accessible. And this story was just I hope they're doing another season. I don't know what happens, you know, next, but they really take you on this journey, and it's all the feels, everything that you and I, you know, can relate to, because it is about connection, and it's exactly like you said, what I needed during this pandemic. And I find, like, especially as creatives, when we watch something where the writing is so good, the character development is so good, and just everything is so thoughtful and authentic and nothing prefabricated, like it doesn't feel forced. I come away feeling so buzzed and so inspired, and I feel good about our craft, and I feel so honored and grateful to be able to do what we do, and just hope and pray that we can work on projects that are so magical and sublime.
Right. Like, and it's so galvanizing, isn't it? Like, you're inspired to make shows like that. You want to be part of it. It gives you sort of a like kind of desire for and a love, I suppose, rediscovering a love for our industry, which, you know, at the moment feels quite far away. I don't know if you get that thing, like, tell me if I'm crazy. So when you watch a movie on a plane, like on an airplane flight, do you cry more or find it more emotional? Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. It's because you're not trapped, but you're in this bubble, and
also I think it's quite sort of ethereal. Like, you're in the sky, you're suspended hundreds of thousands of miles up in the air. You're in between time zones. You know, you're sort of, you're often traveling from a place to a place. You're going away from someone you love or towards someone you love, and it's like, this sort of brings this, it makes you feel a little vulnerable. And so when I'm on a plane and I'm watching a film, my emotions are like, and I have had like full like crying meltdown, like ugly cries on planes. Like, watching a film that if I'd watched normally, I'd be like, oh, I mean, it was kind of sad, but wow, I really had a reaction on that BA flight from Atlanta to London. It's quite a moment. So it's like, I wondered if, like, lockdown and the pandemic kind of was a bit like that. It's a bit like you're suspended in between, you know, time doesn't mean anything anymore. We're all a bit vulnerable. We're all feeling a little bit trapped and a little bit alone. So that's why, not to take away anything from normal people, because I think it was honestly one of the most beautiful things I've seen in years. But put on top of that my emotional state, I mean, I couldn't get through an episode without having a full breakdown. I was like, no.
I know. And I think when I was on a flight, I think it was between Austin and LA, it's a couple of hours, but I was watching The Farewell, and if you haven't
seen that,
oh, so good, so good.
Am I gonna weep? I want to weep. Tell me I can weep.
You will. There will be moments.
Okay, cool.
It's so beautiful, bittersweet, poignant, about for those of you who haven't seen it, I don't want to give away too much, Awkwafina is so brilliant in it. The whole cast.
Oh, it's Awkwafina's, it's the film that sort of yes, I've heard so much about it.
She's living in New York, and she finds out that her grandmother, who she's very close to, is dying, but her grandmother doesn't know it. You don't need to know that minor detail. So they didn't tell her, but everyone wanted to come fly back and be united with their grandma and their mum and celebrate her life without telling her that she has a terminal illness. So it was so wonderful. And of course, there were moments throughout that we can all relate to.
Yeah.
And I started bawling my eyes on the plane, and I'm trying to hold it in, but I'm like crying.
Yeah.
And literally, the gentleman sitting beside me, he takes out his Kleenex box, his little packet. He's like, do you need a tissue? I'm like, yeah, thank you. Like I was just bawling my eyes out. It was so funny.
Yeah. My worst one was when, this was a few years ago, but I remember it because it was just so awful and so funny. I watched, it was a flight from LA back to London, so you know, quite a long flight. I could fit in quite a few films, and the two I watched back to back, it's like that year, was Lion. Do you remember Lion? It was Deputy.
Oh
which
my
is an
God.
extraordinary film.
Yes.
But you know, both very, very heart-shatteringly, movingly sad.
Yeah.
And so by the time I'd watched them back to back, and I think as well, I was pregnant, but I didn't know that I was pregnant with my daughter then. So I think I was, my hormones must have just been like, oh, yeah. And I was having such a crying fit. Like I remember the lady on like the Virgin trolley, like toddled past me with her drinks, and she was like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need some assistance?" And I was like, "I might actually need some assistance. I think I'm having a meltdown." It was really intense, guys. Really, really intense. It's so funny, isn't it? Why is that? Why do we? I don't know. Yeah.
But that's the power of these amazing stories, which brings me on to the next subject. You know, when we were hearing that arts funding was not happening, and it's like all the TV we consume, all these shows, all the films, theater, you know, live entertainment. It's that's what keeps the soul alive.
Yeah.
And to take that away and not receive the proper funding that the arts do deserve, you know, that really was really upsetting. Of course, then I think recently there was an injection of how much? It was quite a few.
Yeah, it was quite a few million. I mean, it might have
wasn't it 32? I want to say 32 million or something they were injecting into the arts funding, because it just broke my heart to see all these theaters that you and I have come to know and grow up with, and then all of a sudden you hear that they're shutting down, and you're like, no.
I know.
Especially back in England too, or you know, New York. It's part of our cultural identity, you know.
I know.
And to take that away is just like, oh, it's like such a punch to the stomach. You know, the arts are so important, and it helps us. It has the power to help us get through quarantining or a pandemic. So I always tell everyone, you know, just remember, everything you're watching and consuming, it comes from somewhere.
Totally.
It needs support, you know.
And I don't know about, you know, obviously I can't speak for everyone, but I not just because we're artists and because that's our creative field, but you know, even fans of the shows that we're both on, you know, I'm sure that many people of things, they might connect to a character and follow their journey and relate to that character for whatever reason, you know, that they want to relate to them. And it's I think sometimes people, the government, I suppose, is really who I'm talking about, just take that for granted. They take for granted what it means, what art really means to people. For me, it makes sense of my entire life. For me, art is my life. And I don't just mean my bread and butter. I don't just mean my job. I mean my life. It's how I make sense of the world and how I give meaning to everything. I found that through art, through stories, through actors, through performances, through Shakespeare, through books. You know, that's where it comes from for me. And I think so, to have that kind of kick in the face for the government to be like, oh, you're not going to get that, you know, for a long time they were like, you know, art isn't important, just felt devastating, yes, but also really, I was so angry. I just felt like, well, that's just a stupid business decision, because also look at like how much money, like theatre alone, look how much money it brings into it injects into our culture. You know, people come to see theatre shows from all over the world.
All over the world, yeah.
Right. They have the dinner in town, and they stay in hotels and restaurants. Like, I think it was, you know, millions and millions and millions, like the
yeah.
West End injects alone.
Yeah.
And I know it's very welcome that they are giving us the cash injection. And also it sounds like a lot when you think, gosh, wow, I know we don't know the exact number, but let's say it's 32 million. Sounds about right.
I saw
but
it.
really it kind of has to be that amount of money, because a lot of people, they rely on those ticket sales. We rely on audiences and bums on seats. It's
yes,
you know, there's no other way but giving it a big £1 million injection to save them. And I just kept thinking, if you can do it for the banks, if you can do it, like, then you can do it for the arts.
For the arts too. So I just looked it up. It says £33 million from UK Arts. Yeah, that's a support package.
Right.
So no, yeah. I'm just reading because it's something that that's the first thing that seems to go, even in the schools curriculum, is cut the arts. I'm like, no, it's not. I find with the arts, it's not so much whether your child wants to go into the arts. It's about what the arts does for their confidence, for their social skills. That's such a huge deal. It is so much. You can't just be using left brain, you got to use the right brain too. There's got to be that balance.
Right. I think I wonder if you talk about it, like I get asked a lot, about, certainly let's use The Walking Dead as an example. Like I get asked a lot about Yumiko and about my race and about Yumiko's sexuality in the show. And I love talking about it, and I love sharing those comments with people, and especially if they're interested in the show and interested in those topics. But I think what's interesting about it is that really the reason I love talking about it is because people feel that they are seen themselves in the show, and that's what they're connecting with. And I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like to have art save your life. I feel like I know what it's like to tune in and go, that has totally changed my life. It's given me meaning and understanding, a better respect or empathy for, it's made me understand life better. I just can't put it more simply than that. And that gift alone, I mean, where else can I learn that? I can't learn that in any other place apart from the arts. It has quite literally been my life's work and my life's purpose. So the idea of somebody kind of trying to wrap it all up in a sort of bow and say, like, oh, it's just this sort of excess thing, it's not a fundamental thing, it's not a key thing. I just think, no, you're talking about my life, and it's my life isn't other or excess. There are bits about it that can be other and excess, but the very act of doing art and telling stories feels to me completely fundamental to our existence.
Yes. Speaking of your character too, because I'm going to move on to Q&As, because you have a lot of questions. At 2017, she says, Eleanor, what is it like to play your character? I know you've started to talk about that. Yumiko on The Walking Dead.
I mean, I love it. I just don't know how else to. There's so many different ways I can just say I love playing her. I feel like she's probably the closest to me as a character than I've ever got to play before, which feels like a real kind of honor. I feel like I've lucked out, getting to do that. They allow me to bring a lot of myself to Yumiko. Things like on the page in the comic, she's written Japanese American, and obviously I'm Japanese British, and they were like, oh cool, Angela wanted me to keep my own accent and bring as much of me to her as possible. So I was really allowed a lot of leeway there to kind of create her from myself. So I feel very, very honored of being on The Walking Dead. I get to do a lot of cool shit,
You're so badass. I love it.
It's just like a lot of cool shit, and it's like, it's fun, So I get the fun element, and then I also get certainly in this last season as well, I feel like we've started to unearth a bit more of my character, like a bit of Yumiko's backstory has started to come in, so I get to do not just the kind of the arrow shooting stuff, I get to do other stuff too, which is really fun. Yeah,
I love that. Okay, so more questions. What's the funniest? This is at Tara C. Espinoza. She asked, what's the funniest behind the scenes story you have?
Funniest. There's quite a few, because I work with some really good people.
You have all the funniest too.
I really do have all the funny people. I tell you who's really fun to be on set with is Dan Fogler. He's very, very fun to be on set with, because he's always
so
kind of doing
funny.
Yeah, he's always kind of doing a thing. He's always or a skit or a song, or like, and if I'm in one of those moods where I just, you know, I'm having one of those days where I feel like singing a song, and then he'll be like, he'll be the first person to like join in with me and, like, you know, be a little bit weird and embrace my weirdness, which I love. I think most recently though, my favorite backstage, behind the scenes story is probably working with Paula, who plays Princess, who's just been introduced onto the show. Paula Lazaro. Haven't really been together before. It's like me and Josh and Kari, Ezekiel and Eugene, and it was sort of this odd little group that kind of form up, and we come across this you know, new character, Princess, and we just had such a laugh doing it. It was really, she's very, very funny, Paula, and
yes,
there was a scene where we had to like step on, people will know if they've watched it, like there's a scene where we step into a minefield and all the bombs go off, and one of the mines went off, and we expected it to be this little, they told us it was just going to be this little poof. They're like, oh, it's just going to be a little poof, and it was so loud and so big that Paula literally jumped into Josh's arms on the first set. And I mean, it doesn't take much. Like, everyone else is way more professional than me. I'm such a corpser. I'm such a giggler.
Me too.
So I was gone. I was out.
Giggling, and that is dangerous. I'm like, oh boy.
I'm so bad. I know, like Josh he's really like serious about it. Like, he's such a fun and funny, silly person. But about corpsing, he's very serious. He's like, I like to stay in character, and I'm pathetic. I'm like, so if something happens, I'm like, it's funny. Like, that's it. I'm gone too. Yeah, me too.
We have time for one more question. Okay. And that's by at Kayla_Najiri. From an actor's perspective, how do you first approach sides when you have a short turnover time?
Oh, good question.
Really good question.
Well, I mean, we get the script maybe like a week before we shoot. So, you know, I have an idea and a handle on the muscle of the scene, of what we're shooting. So if the sides change, so the sides, for those people that don't know, are like the pages you carry on set with you on the day, which like show the scenes that you're going to be shooting that day. And if those sides had changed radically, if the lines had changed, I feel like we would be told. And I've never had I've had it on other shows, but I've never had an experience on this show where they've surprised me with like a radical scene change and new lines on the day. Like that's never happened to me before. So thank goodness. So I feel like because we have the script at least a week before, that gives me enough time to know the overall arc of the story. So even if a line is changed here and there, that's okay, because I know what my character, I know what Yumiko is going to be doing. So the words, you know, are kind of detail. Like, actually, I know her intentions, so I'm never going to be caught out too much. And I think that probably is a good rule for any job, you know. Then, you know,
it's about that trust and that letting go, and knowing you've got it. It's all in here, and you just have to just throw yourself into it and just trust that you're going to land on your feet, because you're listening, you're engaging, you know, and there's something magical about being in that sweet spot where the spontaneity kicks in and you just do what comes instinctively to yourself and your character. You know,
exactly.
that's that special bond that, you know, we have as actors with our characters, that
Yeah.
so much can happen in that moment, which you don't plan for. It just happens. And that's when it's really
exactly. And if you can trust it and give yourself a little room for play and a little room for spontaneity, and you know, which can be challenging sometimes when you're on a TV set and there's a tight turnaround, but if you can fight for that little space, and you can find it and achieve it, I think that's where the and you're like learning your lines.
What did I just do? Okay, fine.
Don't use that. Don't use that. That was terrible.
No,
go again.
No. You can exhale afterwards. Gosh, I feel like I could have tea with you for hours and hours, but
I know.
It's like an hour with you has just come and gone so quickly. Is there anything you want to tell the gang here, to all your beloved fans on here?
Oh, I miss you all very, very much. I really do. You know, I miss work. I miss giving you like good TWD content. I miss chatting about it all with you. I love and see everything you guys post and send to me. I really do, and I really appreciate it. So I guess I just want to say that, really, that I hope to be back soon, as we all do, working, and so we can you know, we can sort of like do more of this, and maybe meet in person. I mean, imagine doing a convention again soon. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, the idea of a convention seems so far away, but I miss meeting people and the fans and chatting and getting to engage with everybody. I miss that.
I know.
I think this time last year was Comic-Con in real life, and I got to
I remember
meet so many
cocktail dinner.
That's right.
That was such a magical evening. And of course we bonded because, you know, Brits. I'm like, okay, this is
I'm
so
like,
wonderful.
she's cool. I want
Family,
to hang out with her.
right
away. Karen. yeah. That was a whole year ago. I mean, I want to do that again. So that's what I want to say to everybody watching. I just miss you guys, and I would like, you know, I hope we get to do it all again soon.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to hold you to your Eleanor's book club, virtual book club. And
all right, guys.
Any of you guys that want to join, I'm sure, you know, maybe we can twist Eleanor's arm there and we can get started on. So, because that'd be fun.
Tell me, if you guys want it, we'll do it. I'm into it.
Yeah,
I've got to do something constructive with my lockdown. A book club it is, sure. Why not?
Yay! Well, I'm
Thanks
signing
for helping
up.
me find it, Karen.
I'm sending you loads of love. I miss London so much. I normally after Comic-Con, I'd fly back home for the summer. That's what I normally do, and it just kind of breaks my heart a little that, you know, I can't be home. And
I know. Definitely. Yeah, I'm a book club. I can't wait. You've inspired me, darling. Brilliant. You're excellent, and I can't wait to see you in real life.
Me too. I can't wait to give you a hug.
I know. I would
get an Eleanor hug too. That.
I know.